Brown Car Guy, log, stardate 08092021. Today is Star Trek Day, 8th of September, the day the original Star Trek series premiered in 1966. And in my continuing quest to seek out strange new videos, I will boldly go where no car YouTuber has gone before. Recently, we Trekkies, or Trekkers, Star Trek fans, also remembered Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry on what would have been his 100th birthday. But this is a car channel. So I got to thinking about what cars the characters would drive if they were real and if they actually drove cars, which of course they don't need to because they obviously have transporter technology. Anyway, when it comes to being into both cars and Star Trek, as you can see, original Enterprise, Enterprise E, got a mug. They transport to the other side of the mug, so cool. Anyway, I reckon when it comes to cars and Star Trek, I could get a scholarship at the Vulcan Science Academy. So what cars would captains like Kirk and Picard drive? Who would be at the wheel of a Nissan GTR? Well, you know what? I'll tell you all right after this. So as I've mentioned Roddenberry, I'm going to stick with the characters mostly that were from his era or from the series he created. So he beamed into the next life in 1991. We of course had the original series and the Next Generation by then. But of course Star Trek Deep Space Nine started in 93 and Voyager was 95. However, that doesn't stop any of you guys commenting below on speculating on cars the characters from any Star Trek show might drive, right up to the latest Discovery series, the new Picard, Lower Decks, and of course the forthcoming shows like Strange New Worlds, which I cannot wait for. Anyway, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Plus, in addition to some of the main characters, I'm going to throw in a couple of maybe reoccurring roles and maybe a villain or two. In fact, just to mix it up. In fact, let's start with the Klingon General Chang from Star Trek V and the movie series, The Undiscovered Country, which came out in 91. He was played by Christopher Plummer, the late Christopher Plummer, who only died earlier this year, in fact. He played a rambunctious old warrior that wore battle scars like medals. I mean, why else would you need an eye patch riveted to your skull in the 23rd century? He loved to quote Shakespeare, shouting, "Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war." I love that. So, of course, what else would he drive than an original Hummer H1? Like the General, it takes a beating, but it keeps on ticking. It's designed for purpose, not aesthetics, and it lives for the fight. And if we're talking classic utilitarian vehicles, who do you think would drive a Lada Niva? Who else but Rush's answer to Davy Jones of the Monkees, right? Pavel Chekhov. And what about his colleague at the helm council of the original Enterprise? Of course, as helmsman, Sulu basically drove the Enterprise. He's clearly about finely balanced control, intuitive understanding of piloting and driving something highly engineered to its limits. I mean, just look how quickly he adapted to flying the Huey helicopter in Star Trek The Voyage Home. So I reckon it's got to be a BMW M2 competition. Sophisticated, extremely quick, but driver focused. He would enjoy that. Talking of highly engineered and sophisticated machinery, have you guys checked out the new Audi e-tron GT? In the Trek universe, I'm giving that to Data. The Audi's computing power and clean drivetrain would sit well with Data's programming. You might ask, why not the Porsche Taycan, which the Audi is based on? Because Porsche is an emotional draw, and as Data frequently reminds us, he has no emotions. Riker, on the other hand, is big, charismatic, and likes visceral and classical stuff like jazz. He's a potent and powerful chap, so I reckon I've got to give him a Dodge Charger Demon. What about his better half, Troi? She's smart, highly capable, and very alluring. There's an enchanting magnetism with her, so she gets a Ferrari 288 GTO. You're seeing it, right? What about her friend, Dr. Crusher? Well, she's far more practical. She's a mum and a surgeon after all. She needs medical equipment and the ability to get to people that need her help, to go anywhere vehicle. Plus, also she needs somewhere to keep her dancing shoes. I'll tell you what, let's put her in a brand new Land Rover Defender. Similarly for Bones, in other words, Dr. McCoy of classic Star Trek, it's got to be something along the same lines, but despite his credentials, he's still a bit of an old school country boy, right? And he's very down to earth. All he needs is a crate of Saurian brandy, his medical bag, and a tricorder, plus, I think, a Chevrolet Tahoe. If he went into an emergency situation, he'd want to rescue and bring back as many people as possible, so he needs something big. And after all, he's a doctor, not a damn fool racing driver putting his own life at risk. Scotty would have to have something British, of course. something he could tinker with. So I was almost tempted to put him in a Jaguar E-Type, but in his own unassuming way, he's very much about advancement in technology. So as the first production car to sport all-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes, I reckon he would have a Jensen Interceptor. Now, his counterpart in the next generation series, LaForge, was also about smart tech and precise engineering. Something that is exquisitely made, highly advanced, and very competent would be appropriate to him. Plus, he looks after a bigger, more complex iteration of something brilliant original, right? Like the original Enterprise, he had the Enterprise D. So comparing new to original, I'm going to put him in the current Honda NSX. That car is a little bit underrated, but I reckon he'd do some upgrades to make it better and match it to the original. What about Worf? For him, it's going to be something huge, competent, but no nonsense, very practical, and of course, extremely powerful. The Klingon warrior lives for the fight, and a great vehicle to take into battle would be a Ford F-150 Raptor. He could even mount his bat'leth behind the cabin and the bed. How cool would that be? Uhura is an icon. For a number of reasons, sensational and sensuous, she was a pioneer of her time, of course, as a black character in a major and senior role on a TV show. It's got to be something very special for her, something like the Mercedes 300 SL, of course with the gull-wing doors. Now when it comes to Spock, his choice of car might surprise you all, but it would of course be perfectly logical. He'd be looking at the most efficient, unadorned, straightforward, reliable, durable, and nondescript car. So hence, it would be the world's best-selling car for him, the Toyota Corolla. It's all the car anyone ever really needs after all, and after all, don't forget, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Of course, in real life, actor Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, drove a Buick Riviera. There's a great picture of him leaning against it. Now, before we move to two captains, let's consider some of our favorite villains. I'm going to put the Gorn Captain in a Nissan GTR. Come on, it's an obvious choice. He's a reptilian-based warrior, and the GTR is otherwise known as Godzilla, who could have been easily an ancestor of the Gorn. So, from the simplistic Gorn to cybernetics, the Borg Queen as seen in Star Trek First Contact. I reckon the best of the next generation movies, that one. Anyway, what else would be fit for a queen than a Rolls-Royce Phantom? Of course, suitably enhanced with Borg tech, right? Then there's Khan Noonien Singh, intelligent, lethal, formidable, as played by the awesome Ricardo Montalban. Also, extremely flamboyant, theatrical, and larger than life. Kirk's arch rival. I reckon he'd be in a Lamborghini Aventador. You can see Ricardo emerging bare-chested from that, can't you? By the way, I am a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch, but in my world, we do not talk about his version of Khan or even Star Trek Into Darkness. We do not mention it ever. Okay? Good. Finally, let's move on to Q, the perpetual pain in Picard's backside, soon to return in the next series of Picard. Can't wait for that. Mischievous, fun, but a lover of elegance and eloquence and the finer things in life. He can do anything, he can have anything. And if he's going to have a car, it would have to be the most awesome thing out there, and price isn't an object, is it? Is not a problem. So for him, I'm going to go McLaren F1 because he can. And wouldn't you if you could? So to Picard then, a fiercely French character played by a Brit that loves Earl Grey. If we were talking airplanes, I'd put him in a Eurofighter or a Concorde, which of course was a British-French collaboration. But I can't think of an Anglo-French car that's appropriate. On the other hand, Picard would drive something sublime, elegant, sophisticated, technologically fascinating, but of course befitting of a captain of Starfleet's finest. So originally I was thinking Citroen DS, but no, it's got to be the sensational Citroen SM. Because, well, look at it. And finally, we come to the most iconic of all Starfleet commanders, Captain James Tiberius Kirk. Well, what car is the embodiment of an all-action hero? It elicits daring and bravado, oozes charisma, charm and style. It's very cool and definitely muscular. Well, Kirk liked to take his shirt off, didn't he? As well as being utterly enjoying both, whether we're talking the 1960s or today, the 23rd century, the future. What else would it be? But of course, a Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. And you know, I know that in the reboot series, we did see him driving a Corvette, but I think he was doing that just to spite his stepdad, wasn't it? So I don't think that would be the case. Anyway, what do you think of my choices? Do you think I got them right? Do you think I got them wrong? What would be your choices? What cars would you put these characters in? Or indeed, any of the characters from any Star Trek series? I would absolutely love to hear your choices in the comments below or elsewhere. Just let me know. I can't wait to hear what you think. So before we sign off, Make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy. Make sure you follow browncarguy.com. Make sure you follow me on all the social media channels. You search my hashtag, which of course is hashtag browncarguy. And if you enjoy my content, support me on patreon.com/browncarguy. Finally, all that is remaining to be said is live long and prosper. A big thank you to my top tier patron and sponsor, Jay Williams over Air Technic. Check out their shop for brakes, exhaust, body kits, and of course, suspension. Plus, thanks to Muhammad Ali Ahmed and Tom Conway Gordon, who are both tier 4 patrons. And of course, all of these guys for also subscribing to my Patreon account and contributing so much towards helping me to continue creating this content. Join them over at patreon.com/browncarguy. And of course, make sure that you are subscribing, liking, and sharing this channel. Hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my videos. And also, check out browncarguy.com and follow me on all social media channels. Just search for my hashtag, which of course is hashtag browncarguy.